What is going on out there, everyone? My name is Myles, and of course, this is my YouTube channel, and this is another vlog in the series that will hopefully be lengthy and, last for a while. But anyway, I said last night that I would talk about the PlayStation meeting, and this is a few hours after the PlayStation meeting 2016, but I'm here to give you my opinions and fill you in on what happened if you haven't already seen it, if you didn't watch it live, or if you haven't seen coverage elsewhere. So this was PlayStation meeting 2016. That implies that there might be more of them, but there maybe shouldn't be. But I'm not going to forecast the whole mood of the podcast right now. Um, whole mood of the video. I misspoke. I just got out of the gym. Leave me be. Anyway, they started off the show by announcing or confirming the existence of the PlayStation 4 Slim. Now, this is not actually a PlayStation 4 Slim. It doesn't have some kind of weird name. It is the new standard for PlayStation 4s. So, that goes to say, after September 15th, that is when it comes out. That's when it releases. If you pick up a PlayStation 4 in the stores and they have already run out of the old stock of the PlayStation 4s that we all know and love right now, then that is what you'll be getting. It's the new Slim. It's going to cost $299.99, so I'm just going to go ahead and round up $300 plus tax. So that's what you're looking at for the PlayStation Slim. There's nothing. They didn't really go into detail about it. They didn't really tell us what all the specs are. I'm pretty sure everyone you can find it already. It released like a week ago when some random person was like, "Hey, I have a PlayStation 4 Slim," and no one believed them, even though it was like, "Hey, he had the first PlayStation 4 Slim." So yeah, even though it's not even released yet, it's not it wasn't even announced. There's already been unboxing videos and all of that good stuff. So yes, if you want to know more about the specs, I'm pretty sure there are places you can find it. I'm guessing Sony was like, we fumbled on that one a little bit, so we're not gonna linger on it because everyone already knows it's a thing, and that was probably for the best, maybe. Wasn't really much to say about that, so I'm not gonna say more about it. But the big thing that everyone was really excited to hear about, of course, was the PlayStation 4 Neo. We finally know that it's one not going to be a PlayStation 4 Neo. It's the PlayStation Pro. That is the official name for it, and it's got some new features, of course, over the old PlayStation 4s, which is everything everyone expected. But the question is it worth it? Of course, that's the title of the video. So let's go through these specs a little bit. These are not the detailed specs. These are just the highlighted points that they wanted to present on stage because they didn't want to talk to us about all the, I'm guessing, internal things that have names that most people probably would have been like, hey, that's cool. I don't know what that is, but it's cool. So anyways, the big point that everyone already knew and expected, and it's not really all that important, but it will be supporting 4K and HDR. Now, the 4K, if you don't know what that is, it just means higher pixels. That means your picture is going to have higher detail. It's going to mean you can see more, essentially, see further, et cetera, because things that would be blurry in the background would be more defined. So it's cool. If you have bad eyesight, honestly, you might not even care about that because it as someone who has almost 20/20, I mean, I can tell the difference, but I mean, I really like it. I can tell the difference, but it's also not the most important thing, honestly. Games look pretty good as is, in my opinion. But, I mean, hey, if you want your games to look the best of the best, I guess, and you have a 4K TV, that's also a thing. You have to have a 4K TV, otherwise that doesn't work. Um, so that's 4K. The other thing, the HDR, that means something that I did not take a note of. So it's high definition something. Let me turn off this phone alarm. Oh God, it's not turning off. I can't. It's go. There we go. All right. So HDR is essentially a higher color range. So that means you got more varied blacks. And that's not a racial thing. That's me saying like the blacks of your TV. It's more varied. It's more vibrant. It actually looks a little bit prettier. You have a it lets you see more of the colors. It's taste the colors of the rainbow, mi daddy. Something like that. But it allows the picture to just look more picturesque, more photorealistic. It's not bad. It's actually pretty cool. I didn't actually know that was a thing. Well, I didn't know that's what that meant before this. And I should probably actually look up what HDR means, just so I'm not like half changing or high dynamic range imaging. That is what that means. So yeah, it makes the picture prettier. I'll put it like that. And we're gonna note on that later, just because, you'll see why. They doubled the GPU power, boosted the clock rate, so those two things mean your games are gonna run faster and better. Essentially, it's got interoperability, which honestly I don't really remember them going over. And if they did, they kind of like skimmed over it. So I don't even know what that means, to be absolutely honest. There's a This is actually kind of cool. 1 terabyte hard drive in these things. The further and further we go into the modern age, the more and more most people, some people, are going download only. No physical discs. I'm kind of like that. I don't care about going to GameStop. I don't want to. Midnight releases are cool. I've enjoyed them usually, but if I can be sitting in my house or sleeping up until the release of a game that I really want to play and I don't have to go out and pick it up, I'm probably going to do that. So 1 terabyte hard drive, that's 1,000 gigs. That's pretty good. You can't really, if you fill that up, then you're doing something wrong, in my opinion. If you fill that up, you're essentially hoarding games, because I feel like that would take so many games, so many games to fill up their hard drive. And if you are doing that, then you cannot be playing all of them. That's my general opinion on that. But moving on, PS4 Pro. Actually, I guess it's just PlayStation Pro. I don't know why I called it PS4 Pro. You're probably gonna hear that because this doc was written like really quickly. But you can also still give you a beautiful experience without HDR TVs and all that. It still boosts the looks of things a little bit when you're on a non 4K, non HDR TV. I don't know how they're pulling that off, just 'cause I'm not a tech genius, but that's pretty cool. Paragon, Infamous, First Light, Uncharted. Uh, so those are the games they use to show off the new looks of the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation Pro. God, this is awful. This is just get into it later. So use those games to show off the new beautified looks. And they announced forward compatibility. Now these are patches that will update already released titles to the new standard, the new looks essentially. So no, just because a game came out already does not mean it's going to look like trash or whatever. We are compared to the new games coming out after the mandate goes into play, where a title has to have a PS Pro and a PS4 look essentially, or has to work on both consoles and all that. But the PS4 Pro one's going to look better depending on what hardware you have access to. If you have a 4K TV that has access to HDR, HDR is a new thing, mind you, so you probably don't. But if you have a 4K TV with HDR, that's how you take full effect and full advantage of what the Pro can do. Um, Unfortunately, that's not many people, honestly. Uh, Again, yeah, I'm forecasting. You know what I'm probably going to say once the question finally is answered. But I will move on. So, the PSVR. What the Pro can do for the PSVR? It can increase frame rate and make your visuals look better. Yep, that that was what they said. AKA, not really anything that's special, really. It can increase the frame rate and visuals of other games. I'm gonna go ahead and say. So it doesn't really do anything special with PSVR, unfortunately. That was what a lot of people were hoping for. A lot of people were hoping to either have it be like built-in PSVR ready, to have it have some kind of special effect with PSVR. You're not getting that. On Sony, in one hand, it's good because it means that Sony is not shortchanging people who are playing on regular PlayStations with the PSVR. But on the other hand, it's also taking away a selling point that might have moved this console for some people. Um, they showed off new Horizon Zero Dawn gameplay. It looked really good. I'm not going to say that anything looked bad. It all looked gorgeous. But that's also just appearances. Um, it, yeah, Zero Dawn's gorgeous. I'm gonna go ahead and say that. That gameplay looked wonderful, and sure, the PSVR made it look really, really good, but I'm sure it'll still look really good on PlayStation. So I made a note in my doc. That's what I'm looking at when I look over here. So far, not really feeling the PS Pro. It's cool, but everyone's fears and worries seem to be confirmed. That was the note I made while I was watching, and by the end, it was kind of accurate. But they showed off some other gameplay, some more Call of Duty Infinite Warfare and Modern Warfare or Infinite Warfare gameplay, and they announced that Infinite Warfare and Modern Warfare Remastered, that they would both support PlayStation Pro on day one. Um, so I guess that means when PlayStation Pro comes out, it'll be supported. The fancy new 4K HDR visuals and all that. Black Ops 3 will also be supported, so they're not leaving people out. And I made a note, why is this an announcement? Just because I don't care about Call of Duty. That's just me, though. I know there's people who really love that game. I know it has a thriving community, so I'm not going to talk trash about it. I will even admit I used to like to play the game. FIFA 17 and Battlefield 1 were also the same. They're going to be supporting it on day one, so that means they're going to be getting that not backward compatibility, but the forward compatibility patch that allows them to look beautiful, even though they're coming out before the PSVR is, I believe. I think. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember when Battlefield's coming out. And the big highlight of this conference actually was Mass Effect Andromeda. The gameplay was so boring because there was not really any of what you're used to in Mass Effect, but they were showing off a new area, of course, because everything in Mass Effect Andromeda is new. It was absolutely gorgeous. Uh, I remember I tweeted, "Oh, good lord, my baby Mass Effect is all grown up and it looks gorgeous. It was beautiful. They seem to have they got it right this time. The visuals of Mass Effect for me have always been a little iffy. In the first game, I really didn't like the grainy effect. I appreciated it, but I didn't like it. I would have preferred to have not had it. Um, and also the armor in the first game looked absolutely horrible. It looked like you were wearing pajamas. Um, always camo pajamas too. That was the worst. Beyond that, Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3 just didn't seem like they really, you know, or as graphically beautiful and stunning as they could be, but it seems like Mass Effect Andromeda is going to be that. Talking about Mass Effect Andromeda a little more, there was a jump pack mechanic, which I don't believe they showed it in that one video or in a gameplay maybe a while ago, but that was interesting to look at. Of course, it was all interesting to look at. It's one of my favorite franchises. There's a scanning mechanic. I'm not talking about like the planetary scanning. It looks like you can scan with your Omni tool now, which is, I mean, nothing really exciting. But to be fair, the 3 minutes of gameplay they showed wasn't really exciting. As I said, gorgeous. The Remnant was a enemy that they skirted around, so that could be the new antagonist, or it might not be. Who knows? They were in the Helios cluster. There were vaults. It seemed a little like Borderlands because at one point they pulled up this giant holographic map that was like all these planets and a bunch of dots were on the planets, and they're like, "Oh, it looks like more vaults." And that's how Borderlands 2 ended. So I mean, I'm not saying they're connected universes, and they're probably not, but I'm saying they might be connected universes. Yeah. All in all, we didn't really find out much. It was kind of boring, but it was nice to see it. Nice to see something. Nice to see that it's absolutely gorgeous. Uh, yeah, that was about it. And to be fair, in one of the cutscenes that were in the gameplay, it looked like there was a team of 4 instead of the usual 3 that we're used to. So that might be something interesting. But moving on, PS Pro is also going to be sporting 4K streaming. Apparently, Sony has worked something out with Netflix and YouTube, and both of them are going to be making a PS4 4K streaming app, especially for PS Pro. There's going to be 600 hours of 4K slash HDR content in terms of the Netflix app by the end of the year for the PS Pro. And that includes Narcos, I don't know, that show, and Luke Cage. And I'm sure, of course, it's going to have to be other things because that's 600 hours. That's more hours than you should be spending watching TV, if you ask me. In By the end of the year, not in your whole lifetime, because I'm pretty sure I've beaten that by quite a bit. Uh, and of course, the YouTube app already YouTube has a lot of 4K content, and there you go. They didn't really detail how this was going to be different, but I guess it just means it's going to be a YouTube app for the PS Pro that can stream 4K because I'm betting the current one on PS4 probably can't. HDR, going back to that, this is kind of what also took a bit more wind out of the sails of the PS Pro. HDR update for all PS4s next week. That includes the PS4s that are already out there. That's not just Slims. That's every single PS4, assuming it's still plugged in, still working, and still often used. I mean, plug in your PS4, you get HDR. So I believe it won't look as pretty, but it's still pretty. It'll still make things look better if you have a TV that supports HDR. And again, those are not very prevalent because that's a new thing. So that's another kind of blow to the PlayStation Pro. But uh, the one good thing, I guess, that came out of this, by the way, it does not support 4K Blu-ray, which not really an issue for me because I don't really buy videos and keep them, but that is definitely an issue for those people who like to collect 4K Blu-rays and all that good stuff. Uh, so at the very end of their presentation about the PS4 Pro, PS Pro, I don't know, whatever, the Pro, it costs $400. That's actually kind of nice. I feel like that's a very good price point for it. It's not too much. It's not too little. It releases on November 10th, and it is ugly as sin. If I remember, I will put a picture like right. Let's do it that way. I'll put a picture right there of it. You see that thing? Assuming that I remember, I have to remember at this point because I'm talking about it. That thing is ugly. It just looks like they took a PlayStation Slim and slapped another PlayStation Slim on it. It's ugly. I mean, I don't need my console to be gorgeous, but unlike some people, I don't have an entertainment system to hide it in, and that is ugly. That's I'm just saying. All right, ugly. But as I said, $400. Uh, this seems like something you're gonna pick up if your PlayStation 4 currently breaks down or something like that. I don't believe there's a reason to go out and buy one just to buy one. If you already have a PlayStation 4 that's working, just use your PlayStation 4. The only thing that it really seems to be like massively boost, like the only big thing that it actually has going for it is 4K, and most people don't have 4K TVs. So it's like something you buy when you get a 4K TV, or something like I said to if you want to future proof yourself, that might be something to do. But otherwise, there's just not there's not enough reason. The the whole the whole PlayStation meeting kind of it was hinging on making people want the PlayStation Neo or the Pro. God, I'm not going to get used to that. And it just didn't really sell me on it. I actually was unsold on it when I thought it was going to be something a lot more wonderful. And before they confirmed anything, I was really excited for it, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm getting this. This is good." Um, but yeah, it's not worth it in the end. It's just it's something that is strictly luxury. Like otherwise, there's just no need. This is unnecessary, and it's kind of unfortunate because I the sales when it comes out will be what decides everything. I'm sure it'll get relatively good sales, but I don't think it's going to be what they wanted, and it's probably not going to be worth having a PlayStation meeting over. So yeah, that's my opinion on it. That answers the question in my opinion on is the PlayStation Pro worth it? No. Was this meeting good? No, it was kind of boring honestly. I mean, it was exciting and the only thing that was exciting about it was hoping to see something that made me excited and that just didn't happen. So unfortunately, this is one of the times where Sony has stumbled. They haven't been doing it too much recently, but hey, everyone can. So that's it. That's the end of my doc. That's all. Oh, there's one more thing. There was no PlayStation Vita 2. There was no PlayStation handheld mentioned. People were talking that that might happen. People were hoping that would happen. I guess even Sony's not crazy enough. I guess they were kind of like, we've seen what's happened with the Vita. It's not gonna happen, guys. Because if it wasn't here, then I mean, it could still happen. It might still happen. Maybe at PlayStation Experience this year, but it kind of I'm starting to go onto the side of the yard, if you will. You know, I'm jumping over the fence, the side that says that it's probably not going to happen because it seemed like this was the time where they were like, we're announcing all our systems because they announced the Slim, even though we already knew it. They announced what the PlayStation Pro was finally. So I feel like this would have been the time. And if they're not doing it now, then I don't know when. But anyway, I don't work at Sony. I don't know the intricate workings of how what goes on over there. So this is my YouTube channel. I am Miles. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thanks for hanging out. As per usual, if you have any opinions, I would love to hear them. Leave them in the comments section below. Like if you like the video, I really appreciate it. Subscribe, all that good stuff. Uh, yeah, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a wonderful week. And hopefully the PlayStation Pro is not as bad as people are thinking it's going to be after watching that conference.